now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show brings you famous celebrities and amazing people from all over the world. Listen online at themikewagnershow.com and on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And watch the interview on YouTube. So sit back and relax and enjoy the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google, Apple Play, and more. You can take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device and subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. We're here with a wonderful writer from the New Jersey area. He's the author of Such Unfortunates, available on Amazon. It's a story of overcoming drug abuse despite the odds. He is also part owner of a solar energy business, recovering addict who suffered from anxiety attacks since age of 12. And of course, he's also enjoying surfing, exercises, alternative energy, boxing, MMA, and much, much more. He's also a host of a podcast as well, too. We'll talk about that. But live from the wonderful area of New Jersey along the Jersey Shore, ladies and gentlemen, we've got right here the very talented Andrew Mann. Andrew, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Mike. I appreciate you having me on. Thanks for the introduction.
Hey, not a problem. So you're the author of the book called Such Unfortunates, available on Amazon. It's a story of overcoming drug abuse despite the odds. You're also part owner of a solar business, and you live in Bergen City, New Jersey, and you've got an amazing story to tell. But before we get into all that, tell us how you got started.
Well, I got started writing after, I was one of those people that was basically everyone gave up on. Everyone said, you don't have a chance. Even my own family had said, basically, you're too deep into this addiction. You're not going to beat it. And I did. And around me, it's such a problem. There's so many people that have died near me that after I was able to beat the addiction, their families would come to me and say, how were you able to do this? Or even people that are currently suffering an addiction would come to me and say, how were you able to do this? And when I told them, that's when basically, numerous people had suggested to me that you need to write a book and get this out there because of the severity of the problem, the enormity of it. They said, you need to tell as many people as possible your story, and you could save a lot of lives. And that's how I got started in this process of writing a book.
And how did you start getting involved with the drug addiction and everything else?
Well, I grew up, sadly, in a very abusive household. It just was, it's a fact of my life that, I grew up in a household that had money. And so when it came to what was really going on behind the scenes, everything looked perfect on the outside. We looked like the middle-class family, that everything was fine, but behind closed doors was a nightmare of unspeakable proportions. And that led me as a child, when you're a child, you don't really know what's going on. That led me to start suffering from anxiety and depression. And I would get such bad anxiety attacks that before I was, I think, 15, I had gone to the emergency room about 30 times, believing I was dying of a heart attack. And I mean, I absolutely believed it. My chest would get, to the point I couldn't breathe. I would start having pains down my left arm. People around me thought I was so there was something wrong with my heart. And every time I would go, these doctors would say to me, they'd say, listen, you are not dying. You're suffering from anxiety. And eventually a doctor came to me and said, I saw a psychiatrist, who prescribed me Xanax. So before my 14th birthday, I was taking double the adult dose of Xanax just so I could go to school. And that led, at first, it was like the answer. And I thought that was a good idea. You know, you have a problem, here's a pill, take the pill. But what it ended up leading to was, you know, before I saw my 15th birthday, I was a drug addict, whether I knew it or not. I was addicted to Xanax. But eventually your body builds up a tolerance and it doesn't work as well. So instead of looking for what the real reason behind it, the doctor sort of said, here's a drug, here's the drug answer to it. And so throughout high school, I was on Xanax and Klonopin, which is the same thing as Xanax. They're all benzodiazepines. And I also started drinking heavily because the benzodiazepines wouldn't work 24 hours a day. They'd maybe work for an hour, and then the anxiety would come right back. And so that was my first introduction to drugs and alcohol at a young age. You know, most kids would party on the weekend. I would do it every day. And it wasn't... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And what were your parents doing at the time for a living?
My father was a vice president of a company called MedQuest. They're a medical transcription company. And my mother was just a homemaker.
Okay, I got that right there. So I was trying to piece it all together. And you talked about with drug addiction in school and everything. Was anything going on at school? Like, were you like with some kind of crowds? Were you bullied or anything traumatic at school or anything? Or just a normal childhood?
When I was younger, I did deal with bullying badly because of the abuse I had suffered. I wasn't able to create healthy boundaries. And know when to say no to other people. And, you know, and I get into that in the book. And if you'll see, most children that have been abused become susceptible to being taken advantage of by bullies. So when I got to high school, I didn't want to be ever in that situation because being bullied is just it's a horrible thing for a child to go through. But it wasn't like I could escape the bullies at school and come home to a better life. It was bullies at school or abuse at home. So it was just I had nowhere to run. And the place I ran to were drugs and alcohol. Mm-hmm. And eventually in high school, when I got to high school, I sort of hung out with the popular kids because they were using drugs and alcohol. And so I sort of fit in with them. And I didn't face bullying in high school, but when I was younger, I did. I faced it, and it's a horrible thing. I feel for the kids that are what they're going through today, these kids that have committed suicide, and I understand it. It breaks my heart because I've been there, and I know what they're going through. I know how awful it is to be bullied, and it just makes a horrible environment for children to go through.
And do you think the bully has gotten worse in today's times compared to what you went through, or is something being done about the problem?
There is. I think there are aspects of it that are worse because of social media, but I do think there's much more awareness, and I think there's much more kids that say, you know what, this bullying thing really isn't the right thing to do. It's really not cool. You don't know what these kids are going through at home. That makes a kid an easy target to become bullied. And I think there is greater awareness, but it definitely still goes on. I heard about a girl out in California who was bullied, and she committed suicide. And these bullies were so, I don't even know the right word for them, but they actually, after she died, made fun of her, like sent pictures to her parents making fun of her death.
Oh my gosh.
And so you can only imagine what that girl was going through at school.
Wow.
So yeah, it really was. You can look it up. It was just an awful thing. But that's another thing I would like to, eventually. My goal is to start an organization, like a rehab, to help addicts out that they can come to for free. And I believe animal therapy can help people out. But I'd also like to help kids out that have gone through abuse and bullying too as well. So it's a goal of mine for the future.
Animal therapy, that is amazing. And what kind of animal therapy do you recommend? What do you think is better, dogs, cats, or maybe like, say, birds or fish? Or what animals do you think work best?
Especially dogs. I think for people that have suffered through addiction, the one common factor, later in life, I ended up getting into opiates, and my life ended up becoming a heroin addict and ended up out on the street, homeless, basically. But the one thing, once I got into rehab, the one common denominator with every addict seemed to be an abusive childhood. A lot of them had never been told, I love you, by anyone in their life. And when they get an animal loves you unconditional. And believe it or not, I've seen a lot of people that are addicts that'll get a dog, and the love that dog gives them, it gives them a purpose to take care of something. There's something so healing about that. And I believe, you see all the dogs that are in shelters. I'd like to take some of those dogs out and maybe give them, take dogs that need a home, and use them to help people that need recovery. I really believe it. What I've seen, that could be very healing.
And it also leads up to your book as well, too. We'll get to that in just a minute. You're listening to The Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@SonicWebStudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google, and Apple Play. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device and subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. We're here with author Andrew Mann of Such Unfortunates, now available on Amazon. It's the story of overcoming drug abuse despite the odds. Also part owner of solar energy business, lives in Bergen City, New Jersey. And let's talk about the book of Just a Minute, story of overcoming drug abuse despite the odds. You can just tell us a little bit about the book.
Sure. Well, I start the preface out that every year in the United States, more people die of drug addiction than Vietnam, Afghanistan, and Iraq all put together. And the reason I want to make that, it shows you what a problem we have in this country. And, like I said, there's a problem with understanding addiction. I think we fight addiction completely wrong. And I wanted to write a book that made people understand what it was like for me before I became an addict, what led me to become an addict. I think we focus too much on the drug part of the addiction and not what caused the person to want to take drugs so destructively in the first place. And if we were able to look at that, I think we do much better on healing the addiction part. So basically what I do in my book is I take the reader through what it was like for me to led me to becoming an addict, and what it was like to live as an addict, and the obstacles I faced, which millions of our citizens in this country and around the world face also. And one thing that I've heard repeatedly, I've heard from doctors who've written to me, and this one doctor said, for the past 2 weeks, I just can't get your book out of my mind. He said, I really feel bad, but, he's like, you've opened my eyes to what it was like. He works in an emergency room. And then I heard from people who said, I have a family member that's an addict, and I was so mad at them. But after reading your book, I just feel so much different. I see instead of being mad, they just needed help, or I needed to get through it. And I've also heard from numerous addicts that have said, you've finally given me hope that if I can see someone that it was as bad as you were, because Mike, I really was, I ended up at the worst of the worst. I went to jail. I was homeless on the streets of Camden, New Jersey, which is probably probably the worst place in the country. Mm-hmm. I almost froze to death out there being homeless. Ooh. I've overdosed. So I've really gone to the three ends for addiction, which are jails, institutions, and death. I've been to all three. I was brought back from an overdose multiple times. I've been to multiple rehabs. And if someone like me can beat this addiction, I really believe anyone out there suffering can beat it. I know there's a lot of people that have lost hope from their loved ones. And I hope my book can give them hope, and can also lead to a better understanding that we can find a solution to this problem, because what we're doing is not working. Mm-hmm. And we need to change those things. And so I really get into that in deep in the book. And, I've heard some really good things back from it so far.
That is amazing, too. Would this apply to a person who's looking into holistic or natural or alternative healing?
Sure, absolutely. I think all those aspects need to be taken into account. There is no just one size fits all. The problems like that, like a lot of people are told, once you get out of rehab, you need to go to AA or NA, and if they don't work for you, basically it's over. You don't have any chance, and that's just nonsense. Mm-hmm. Because AA is great. It works for people with alcoholism. But when it comes to opiates, a lot of times people will go to an AA meeting and they're told, don't talk about that you're a drug addict. And right there, that turns people off, and so there is NA. But if those programs don't work for a person, there are many people I know that have found other programs out there. There's more holistic approaches. There's other approaches that work better for people. Find what works for you. If it doesn't work for you, there's people that give up. They say, oh, it didn't work for me here. I have no choice. And that's complete nonsense. I know a bunch of people who found other ways. There's a thing called Smart Recovery that they've gotten involved in that's helped them. There are other groups besides AA, like NA, and multiple other groups that have started up, and holistic approaches that have helped people.
That is amazing, too. And what about those who suffer from PTSD?
Yes, I believe most people that are in this have some form of PTSD, whether it's from childhood abuse, veterans. There's a lot of veterans that I've met in the rehabs that have been in the wars and have come back, and from what they've seen over there, and they were also targeted. I mean, sadly, by the OxyContin manufacturer Purdue Pharma looked into targeting veterans returning. And so a lot of veterans were overprescribed OxyContin and ended up becoming addicted to this stuff and are now trying to find a way out of it. So, yes, there's a lot of people, PTSD and addiction go hand in hand.
Wow, that is something, too. And, of course, this book should help as well, too. We'll talk about you being a part owner of a solar business as well as some of your other ventures. Listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and Apple. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device and subscribe to to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. We're here with Andrew Mann, the author of Such Unfortunates, now available on Amazon. He's from the New Jersey area. It's a story of overcoming drug abuse despite the odds, as we had talked about the book. You're also part owner of a solar energy business. So besides being an author, you're also part owner of a solar energy business. So just tell us all about that.
Correct. Yes. After I had gotten some time clean, I was working for an energy company, and a friend of mine was thinking about starting a solar business, and he started it out on the West Coast, and he needed some people to start it up on the East Coast, and looked if I wanted to partner with him. And I love the idea of clean energy. I love solar. I think it is very wise for us to use the sun. And once I found out that before people had to pay for a system for their home, they had to, get into this, and they would, they'd have to put out like $40,000 out of their own pocket. But now the banks have will finance solar systems for homes. The federal government pays a 30% of the total cost of the system. The state government pays them for the next 10 years monthly in the state of New Jersey to go solar. So it basically pays itself off. And not only are you making your home worth more money, when you go to sell your home, it averages being worth about $30,000 more dollars, but it also sells a lot easier. You're eliminating your electric bill. We aim to eliminate your electric bill completely.
Nice.
So basically, from day one, you're saving money. You're saving the planet. You're making your home worth more money and easier to sell. There's no negatives at all. It even acts as an umbrella for your roof and makes your roof last longer.
That is amazing.
So
that's amazing. What's the name of your company?
10X Energy.
Okay.
And if anyone wants to email me with more information, it's Andrew@10x.energy.
10x.energy. That is something. And how'd you get interested in solar energy in the first place? You worked for a company, and what got you interested in the very first place?
I saw how we were, how the energy companies, how much money they were making off of homeowners, and how the bills kept rising every year. And I knew we could do it better. And when I found out how solar worked, I figured, because most people don't have 50,000 sitting around in the bank that they can throw down for a system. So as soon as I found out that the banks were willing to put out a loan for people, as long as you have a decent credit score of 650 or above, they're willing to do that. I just knew 2 and 2 would come together, and I thought it would be a great thing for our planet and for the homeowners. There's no negative to it. So we've had some really happy customers so far, and business is really picking up. So
that's amazing.
Very good.
That's amazing. What's next for the company?
Just expanding. We want to keep expanding and keep growing. It's starting out. There's always getting new employees and everything together, but we've been getting almost more business than we can handle, which is a good thing. So we're growing well. So it's going very well right now.
It sounds like you're doing very well too, and you're also into surfing, exercising, of course, alternative energy. We talked about it, boxing, MMA, and more. You also do podcasts. So just tell us about those as well. MMA, that's interesting.
Yes, I got into mixed martial arts, and I love it. I've always, I've been sort of since I was a kid, one of my abilities, I've always had the ability to sort of be good with my fists. I was always a good athlete. And, I had a friend that had took me to a mixed martial arts gym. And, you think you're tough till you actually get in there and see all these things these guys do. But I started to learn and started to do more and more of it, and I love it. It's an incredible exercise. 30 minutes a night would be like 3 hours in a gym doing 30 minutes of MMA. It really is. It's 30 minutes, and then I would leave, and I would be completely wiped out, and you'd feel great. And it really is. It's a great exercise. I've always loved boxing since I was a kid. So it's basically incorporating all of that together. And, the more I wish I had more time to do that. I really do.
And of course, you talk about boxing as well as one of your favorite sports. Who are your favorite boxers growing up?
There's one boxer that of course, Mike Tyson was the one we all watched. There's a boxer, his name's Gennady Golovkin. And I really like watching him. Now he's from Russia or that area, and he came over, and he's a very humble guy. And I just like the way he boxes. I think he's an incredible fighter. Of course, Floyd Mayweather is a good fighter, and so I'd say Gennady Golovkin is one of probably my favorite boxer to watch right now.
And of course, there's also news too at the time of this broadcast here. Evander Holyfield is talking about making a comeback at 56. What do you think about that?
Wow, He is in incredible shape, but at 56, if Foreman could do it, I did like George Foreman too.
I was just going to say that compared to George Foreman.
Yeah, I know. He was something else getting in there with those young guys. That's a tough guy because, I could see a guy doing it in his early 40s, but, they're mid 50s to upper 50s. Wow. I respect him to do it because that's... it's a brutal sport, especially at that age. But if he can do it, more power to him. So, I think those guys never, it's probably hard for them to watch fights from the sidelines, after being involved in it for so long. So, I didn't know that. I'd love to see that.
And I'm sure it's coming to pay-per-view, and I'll guarantee that it's going to last longer than a minute, unlike the Mike Tyson fights where it lasts 30 seconds, and you pay like $100, expecting 15 rounds, knocks out a guy in a minute. It's like you're done. So
yes, I remember when I was a kid, we waited up for this fight, and it was like 9 seconds long, and it was over. Everyone was there. We were all excited. We paid all this money, and Tyson hit the guy, and the fight was over in 9 seconds.
And of course, also started a new revolution too, where you mix in a pay-per-view where you have not just the one fight with Mike Tyson against whoever. You also have like the lightweight, the flyweight, the middleweight, the welterweight, and you work your way up all the way up to the big event. And this is coming from like the the smaller titles, the smaller leagues. So you see some up and comings, and you see some guys that just want to get exposure. So that's how the whole thing got started as well.
Sure, absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
and it's definitely. I'd love to, especially if I lived out in I do live near Atlantic City, but I would love to get to see more fights up close. So especially when they're the big fights, but the tickets are outrageous to get close to those. Some of those fights, the tickets are spending $20,000 to $50,000 for a ringside seat. It's unbelievable.
And of course, I still can't get over paying I still think $20 a ticket is still expensive for me, to be honest with you. Oh my gosh, I still remember the days like with Muhammad Ali and George Frazier, and I couldn't get over the fact that the loser got $1 million and the winner got $2 million. And I said to myself, why not just get in the ring and become an instant millionaire, get knocked out, and take home $1 million? Why not?
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of guys that have done that. Really, it's unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And back then, some of the losers today take home, millions and millions of dollars for getting in the ring for one round in the ring. I don't think there's too many people that, for that kind of money, wouldn't get in the ring. A lot of people say they wouldn't, but. Oh, I'd absolutely get in the ring. For some of these losers are walking out with $40 million for one round or something. Absolutely. So
that's good.
I would do it.
That's good retirement as well, too. And of course, it was back in the day where it's like the winner took on, the loser walked away with nothing. So I guess it has revolutionized in a way. So
Yep.
Of course, so I'm looking forward to having you talk more boxing, MMA. It's fantastic. You're also, writing and doing podcasts, and if I'm correct, you also host a podcast. So just tell us all about that.
No. I'm just doing them. I don't host one. I'd like to, maybe, possibly. I was invited to do one with a woman, but it's just I've been way too busy to be doing it. But I would like to get more involved. Helping people that are suffering from addiction is very dear to my heart. And so in the future, as my financial situation allows, I would like to get more involved with that. And, I've seen how Joe Rogan does his podcast, and he focuses a lot of stuff on addiction. So hopefully, maybe in the future, financially allowing, it would be something that I would definitely consider.
That is amazing, too. And, of course, we talked about the book, Such Unfortunates, available on Amazon. Do you have any other books that are currently in the works right now?
I do not. No, I'm considering it. I've had people recommend that I try to write a fiction book, which I don't know if I could do. A guy really liked my writing, and he said to me, you'd really be great if you could write a fiction book. Once you get into my book and you see everything I've been through, I need a whole new life story to write another one. But it's something I would consider. A lot of people have asked me to discuss more about what my life is like now. So I'm considering doing another book about what life is like in recovery, and how things progressed. I also, I had a lot of angels that I consider, people that were angels that came into my life, that I get into in the book, that really helped save my life. A few people refused to give up on me. And, one in particular, a woman who's just amazing. And a few other people. I don't know if, Kelly Ripa, the talk show host, her father really helped me out a lot. So I've been very grateful to him. I speak to him on Facebook, and, like I said, I may be doing a book about people that are angels for other people's lives would be something I consider too.
That is amazing too, and I love to get more of your book as well to encourage people to read it. And of course, just a couple more minutes here. Well, you've been fantastic. Love to have you on again. Who do you consider big influence in your career?
Let's see. That's a good question. I would say I've read the book. I read Nikki Sixx's book. He's from the band Motley Crue. I also was influenced by Anthony Kiedis' book Scar Tissue from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, yes.
And I've read, let me see, even Lone Survivor by Marcus Luttrell had some, of the hell he went through and kept getting through, is partially, I'd say. But when it comes to addiction, yes, definitely. What was the other book that I read? I read Dream Chaser by Brandon Novak. That was a few people that have gone through addiction that I was able to really look at and say, you know what, I could write a book like that and I could help people out. And, I'd read part of the book, A Million Little Pieces. And when I read that, I felt it was inauthentic. And I knew that because I was actually in a place that the guy had wrote about in his book. The guy basically made up a book about addiction, made up a story that he was an addict when I guess he really wasn't. And I knew when I read that I could really write a better, authentic book of what it was really like to go through that. And so that was an influence too. But I would say yes, both Anthony Kiedis and Nikki Sixx's books were very big influences on me.
That is fantastic. Love to check those out. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
If you're suffering with addiction, the first thing you need to get into a detox because you don't want to try to do it on your own. Then I would recommend going to a rehab after the detox because your body is physically addicted to this and withdrawing can be very dangerous on your own. So get into a detox, get into a rehab for at least 30 days. The longer, the better. If you can stay there 6 months, that would be great because once the drugs are out of your system, your brain will not be normal for months. And trying to stay sober just right off the drugs when the drugs are available is not something I'd recommend. So try to get into a longer term treatment. After the treatment, you got to remember, this is something you're going to deal with for life. It does get easier, but what you need to do is just stick with it and get involved with other people that have been through, other people that are addicts and that are staying clean. And the last advice is to give back because you will help yourself by helping others, and especially helping people that are suffering with addiction. It will remind you where you don't want to be, and it'll be a big help for them. So
that is amazing. That is amazing.
Thanks.
Andrew, just want to say a big thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Andrew Mann, the author of Such Unfortunate, available on Amazon. Once again, tell us about your upcoming projects, what's your website, how do people contact you, and where can people purchase the book?
Okay. My book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Target. It's called Such Unfortunates by Andrew Mann. It's available in paperback, ebook. If you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read it for free on Amazon. Right now, if you're part of that Kindle Unlimited, it's also available on Audible. So you can listen to it. You can get it and listen to it in your car or on your headphones, wherever. You can check out my page for the book. It's at Facebook at Amazing New Book. If you'd like to contact me, like I said, it's Andrew at 10x.energy. You can also contact me through my Facebook page or through my author page on Amazon. If you have any questions, I will try to get back to anyone who needs help, has a loved one that is suffering. I try to help and get back to everyone that contacts me and offer the best advice I can. Please check out my book. If you know anyone that's suffering, this book will give them hope. Or if you yourself are suffering or have the loved one, this book should help you and will give you, like I said, hope and wisdom and understanding. So
that is amazing.
I wish you all the best.
Andrew, just want to say you've been amazing. Thank you very much. You've been very inspirational. Looking forward to having you again soon. And do us a favor, keep us up to date.
I will do. Thank you very much, Mike. You've been great, too. It was really good talking with you.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Listen online at themikewagnershow.com and on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And watch the interview on YouTube. Also, become a sponsor of the program or donate today at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again tomorrow for another episode of The Mike Wagner Show.